Hi there, this is Stephanie of Stephanie Stitches. Welcome to my channel where together we sew. So for today, I'm super excited to bring you week 1 of the Fort Worth Fabric Studio as luck would have it, St. Patrick's Day quilt. Today we're going to cut all of our fabrics in preparation for the first blocks that we're going to start next Monday. So I hope you cut along with me and come on back next week to sew some blocks together. I also wanted to wish you all a very happy Valentine's Day, as this video is coming out on Valentine's Day. And as you can see, I've got the quilt behind me that we did with Fort Worth Fabric Studio for Valentine's. So if you're interested in making this quilt, the patterns are still on their website, and I will link all the information that you need down below. As of this taping, if you are interested in the fabric that you will see, I will link the kit for that. As of this taping, there were still a few kits left. I don't know if there will be when you find me, but hopefully, if you'd like it, or you can use your stash. But the great way to support Fort Worth Fabric Studio for giving us all these amazing free patterns is to buy the kit if you can afford to. So, with that being said, let's get started. I'm going to pause the video and move the camera so you all can see what I'm cutting, and then I'll come back at the end. Alright, hold on just a minute. Okay, as you can see, I've got all my fabrics laid out here. I've already starched and ironed everything, and I've got everything in order from A to K. A is the background fabric, and these are all the prints of the line, and then the very last fabric, K, is our binding fabric. So let's get started. I printed out my fabric guide, and I've printed out the cutting instructions. Fort Worth Fabric Studio does a really good job of giving you cutting instructions, especially this is for the background fabric. So you know how to cut to get all the pieces that you need. And then you should have another sheet that has all the cutting instructions for your colored fabrics. So I'm going to set this backing fabric, or the background fabric, excuse me, aside for a moment and come back to that a little bit later. I'm going to start with all the colors, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of, I don't know why, but I like to go backwards when I cut. It just feels better to me. I'm going to start with my binding fabric. I have my backing fabric here all in plastic still, and so I'm going to cut my binding, and then I'm going to put it in with my backing fabric and set that aside, because I obviously, when we're sewing the quilt, I don't need either of these things, and I don't want to get them mixed up with my other fabrics. So that's what I'm going to do. So I get my big ruler and lay it down on my fabric, and I'm going to make a straight edge on the left hand side of my fabric first. Now I am right-handed, so this gets a little tricky. Got to kind of cut backwards. But do this however you like. This is the way I like to cut with my hair, so I don't cut my hair. And I'm going to trim off this left-hand side, and I think I need a new blade. Let me grab another rotary cutter. This blade is not wanting to cut. Trim a straight edge on this side, and then we'll go from there. But I definitely need a new. I'm going to get a different rotary cutter. Okay, so sorry about that. I didn't realize that my blade was that dull. I guess I should check them more often. Anyway, I'm going to turn this around. I've got a lot of dust here because my blade didn't cut good. Turn this around, and then I'm going to cut 6 2.5 inch wide strips for my binding. That's a lot better. Make sure you start with a sharp blade. Don't do what I did. I haven't used that rotary cutter for a bit, and that's actually my favorite rotary cutter, so I didn't realize that the blade was so dull. I should have realized, because the last time I used it, I did cut quite a bit of fabric. 3. 4. 5 and 6. Now this is a Moda Black Bella Solid. So a basic for Moda. So hopefully you won't make any mistakes, but if you do, this is definitely an easy fabric to find. Be very careful when you cut. This is all we have left. Just those little skinny strips. So make sure you cut those pretty precisely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I got all 6. So yeah, this is all that's left. So make sure you cut pretty carefully on the black. So I'm going to open this up, which has my backing fabric, and I'm going to put my binding in here. That way it doesn't get mixed up with the other fabric, and I can just set this aside. I'm going to toss it on the floor for now. And then I take my pen and check off that one because I finished it. Okay. Now I'm going to go to Fabric Eye, which is this cute fabric with the leprechauns. How adorable is that? And for that one we need 6 3-inch by width of fabric strips. So I'm going to do the same thing I just did with the black. Hopefully my rotary cutter will cut this time. I'm going to get a straight edge over here. Now I can cut sometimes with my left hand, but because it's this long, I kind of don't trust myself. Like I'll do little squaring up of lefts, things like that. But I'm a little worried too. Oops, I moved a little bit. I'm a little bit worried to cut with my left hand up a long strip. So I just made a straight edge there, and now I'm going to cut 3-inch strips. The edge is still a little funky. That's not anybody's fault but mine. There we go. That was a much better cut. Okay. Alright. Now I'm going to cut my 3-inch strips. We all make mistakes. Get that lined up. Okay. 6 3-inch by width of fabric strips. So there's 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. And this will be number 6. Okay, again, cut carefully. There's less than 3 inches left. There's still a decent amount of a strip here, about 2.5 inches, but that's it. So no room for error there either. So cut those very carefully. Now, those are for week 4. So I'm going to put them in my week 4 bags. If you watched my video for so this is Love, which was the Valentine quilt hanging on the wall behind me from Fort Worth Fabric Studio. You saw that I like to stay organized by putting each week in a different bag. So this is week 4. Okay, check that one off. Then, oops, checked the wrong one. That's all right. That's the next one. The next one is the Pots of Gold. How cute is that? Pots of gold. Okay. So again, I'm going to make a straight line. This one is very crooked. I'm just going to check and make sure I'm going to have a big enough piece. Yep. We're getting 5-inch blocks out of this. So I just wanted to make sure there's enough width to get 5 inches. This piece is kind of going at an angle. It's alright. We'll make it work. Okay. I have a straight edge, and now I'm going to cut a 5-inch strip. Double check that. Yep, 5 inches. Again, cut carefully. This is what you have left. Okay, so now I've got my 5-inch strip. So I'm going to subcut. We need 4 5.5-inch squares. I'm going to grab my square ruler. Help me out a little bit here. A little easier to manipulate a smaller ruler. So I'm going to cut off the selvage. And then find the 5-inch marking. And there's 2 squares and 4 squares. So that's all 4, and that's going to be week 2. In this bag here. And this one we have quite a bit left of, so that's nice. Okay, fabric G is the white shamrock. And this one we need 32, 2.75-inch squares for week 2. Okay. So I'm going to get that straight edge like I normally do. And then we'll go from there. Okay. Now, it was 2 3/4. Okay. So I'm going to find the 2 3/4 marking on the ruler. One, 2 3/4. I'm going to cut a strip. I think we're probably going to need, it doesn't say on the directions, but probably at least 3 strips. Make sure you measure twice because this is a little bit of a different measurement, 2 3/4. We're all used to cutting like 2.5-inch squares or 5-inch squares, like something sort of an evenish number. So, okay, so this is all that's left of this one. So again, cut carefully. So I'm going to lay my strips down on top of each other and cut these all at the same time, and hopefully this works out the way I want it to. Okay. I'm going to use my smaller ruler again for this. Pretty awkward with this big ruler to make smaller cuts. So I've got all my selvage pieces on the same end to make it easier. Cut all those up. Good thing I have a sharp blade on this one. And again, we're going to go to 2 3/4. Cut very carefully. So this should be 6 right here. Yes. So that's 6. And that's 12. That's 18. 24. 30. And we needed 32. So I'm going to take these other strips. That's extra. That's good in case we miscut something. Make sure those are lined up. And I'm going to cut two more. There we go. 32. Okay, so those are going in the week 2 bag. Hanging out with the pots of gold there. Alright. Cut fabric F, which is the cute plaid. I love this fabric. And on this one, we're going to cut 8 4.5-inch squares and 4 3.5-inch squares. Okay. Oh, I love this plaid. This is really nice. Not much of a plaid girl, but I like traditional plaids, like a Christmas plaid and this St. Patrick's Day plaid is really, really pretty. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Okay. Now I'm gonna cut a 4.5-inch strip. And again, it doesn't say how many strips we need. So on that last one, the shamrocks, you needed 3 strips. I'm gonna cut 2 4.5-inch strips because I can always cut this down to 3.5. But if I cut this 3.5, I can't go back. So I'm gonna try that and see what we've got. Okay. So, let's start with this one. I'm going to do my 4.5 inch squares first, and then if I get them all out of this strip, then I'll cut that strip into 3.5. Cut the selvages off and cut 8 4.5 inch squares. So there's 2 4 6. I'm going to turn this around because this cut it a little bit off. Fix this. Just the littlest bit. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so you can get 8 4.5 inch squares out of one strip. And then this strip we can cut. I'm going to iron this piece really quick. I'm going to cut a 3.5 inch square out of this leftover. We need 4 3.5 inch squares. Okay. Before I do anything, make sure I have enough. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yes. And 4 3.5 inch squares. Okay. There's one. You're going to have quite a bit of leftover from this. So, this plaid, which is awesome, because this plaid is beautiful. Okay, cut off the selvage. Nope, missed one on the bottom. I'm going to turn these. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and we need 4 of the 3.5, so I'm going to cut one more square. Okay, so we got all 4 of those, and we have this much left over. So quite a bit of the plaid, which makes me happy because I like it. Okay, and all those are going to go in the week 4 bag. Next, grab fabric E if you have the kit, and fabric E is the, let's see, the Lucky, I'm Irish, Erin Go Bra, the little hats, harps, shamrocks, all kinds of fun stuff. Okay, so this one we are going to need 12 3.5 inch squares. So do the same process. Get my straight line and then cut some 3.5 inch strips. And we need, let's see, 12 of those. We may just squeeze it out with one strip. Let's try this. Is that all we need of this fabric? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to cut the selvage off over here. This one is really cute. There's 2. Four. 6. 8. 10. You're gonna be able to squeeze this out. Oh, look at that. Just barely, but we did it. And 12. And this was our leftover piece. But we got 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Awesome. Okay. So this one we have quite a bit of scrap. So if you cut that very carefully, you can get 12 and you'll have all that left over. So that one is going to go into the week 3 bag, which we have not gotten out yet. Here we go. Okay. And then, okay, for fabric, I'm going to cut, fabric D is next. Wow, this one is, we need 96 2 by 2 inch squares. We can do this. Okay, so that is a lot of little squares that we are going to have to sew together. It's alright. It's gonna be fun. Can't wait to see what this is gonna look like. Okay. Straight edge. Now I'm gonna cut 2 inch strips. Oops. Almost did a 3 by accident. Okay. 2 inch right? Yes. 2 inch strips. We need 96. Okay. I think you need, if I'm calculating in my head correctly, 5 strips. I'll set this aside just in case I calculated incorrectly. It looks like my ruler moved a little bit on this one, so I'm going to turn it around and fix it. And I know my ruler moved on this one, so I'm going to fix this one. It's hard to do strips. By the time you get to the end, your ruler can move a little bit. There we go. Okay. All right. So I believe that 5 strips will probably do us. We have this extra just in case. So let's start. I'm going to stack them up. Just goes a little bit quicker if you can stack them up. And I try to follow a straight line on my cutting mat. Not for measuring purposes, but just to get the strips lined up straight. Okay. I'm not going to do more than 3 at a time because then it gets a little thick and then you have a hard time cutting through. So. Make sure I'm cutting off all the selvages. And start cutting 2-inch squares. That's 18. $24. 30. 36. 42. 48. 54. 66. So we're nearly there. We need 96. So we need 30 more. Salvage end, and we need 30 more, so we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 30. So 66 and 30 is 96. there's all those squares and some extra. Those go in the week 3 bag. Actually went a lot quicker than I thought. Okay, now we need fabric C, which is this cute fabric that says, "Hello, Lucky." So cute. All right, so fabric C, we're going to make 5. Oh, okay. This one's going to seem easy compared to the last one. 5.5 inch squares. So we just need to get a 5-inch strip. Shucks. I think my ruler. I've used it a lot. After a while, they lose their grippiness if you have grippy rulers. So, okay. One, two, three, four, 5. 5-inch squares. This is extra. We're going to have a lot of scraps in this. You can make something cute like some mug rugs or maybe a placemat. Okay, now we're going to subcut 5-inch squares. Say that 5 times fast. So there's 2. Four. And let's open this up, not waste the fabric. And 5. So there's our 5 by 5.5 inch squares. That one's going in the week 2 bag. There we go. And this is all extra. Look at our pile over here of extra. Isn't that nice? There's only a couple so far that have been close, so we gotta be super careful. Okay, fabric B is this cute shamrock fabric. This is probably my favorite one because I love the background. It looks like wood planks or shiplap. It's cute. And all that. Now, this one we need 42 3/4 inch squares. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing we did with the other fabric that had 2.5 inch or 2 3/4 squares. Straight line. Now I'm going to cut my strips. Don't forget to double check your cutting or your sizes before you cut, because this is an odd size again. Not odd, there's nothing unusual about it, it's just not like the standard 2.5 inch or 3 inch. Okay, 1, 2 3/4. So that's one strip. We're making 40 of these. Okay. 2 strips. And this last one. 3 strips. So that's your extra. We'll line these up. And cut them in stacks again. Oops, to go a little quicker. Okay, got that ready. I'm going to cut the selvage off, and then we are going to have at it. Okay, now, again, we need 42 3/4 inch squares. Twelve, 18, 24, 30, 36, and taking those away. And 40. Okay, so 40 of those, and those are going to go in the week 2 bag. Oh, those are so pretty. Love those ones. Okay, we are all done with the colors. Look at all this scrap we have left over. Oh my goodness gracious. That's awesome. Okay, so now our background fabric. This one's gonna take a hot minute, so yeah. All right, we're gonna start with 8. I'm gonna subcut all the strips first, and then we'll go back and cut all the pieces that we need to cut. So we're gonna be cutting 8 2 3/4 inch strips, 12 2-inch strips, 1 4.5 inch strip, and 2 3.5 inch strips. Okay. So after I ironed and starched and ironed this, I kind of rolled it back up to keep it under control. So I'm going to cut all my strips first and then go back and subcut everything. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just cut. Oops, excuse me, sorry. Maybe I will just cut as I go. We'll see. So this one's pretty uneven, which is fine. I can straighten it out. That's what I'm going to do first, is straighten out this side. Okay. Now, I need 2 3.5 inch strips. So, I'm actually going to turn around this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this at the 7-inch mark, which will give me 2 3.5 inch strips. Pull that away. And then I'm going to cut a 3.5 inch strip from that. And we should have 2 3.5-inch strips, if I did my math correctly. But you never know. Okay, so we have 2 3.5-inch strips, and from those we need to subcut 16 3.5-inch squares. Okay, so I'm going to stack these guys on top of each other. I'm going to move all this other stuff out of the way here in a second. Cut off all the selvages, and now I'm going to cut 16 3.5-inch squares. Is that all we need for these? Yes. Okay. And that's going to go in the week 4 bag when we're done here. So that is 4. 8, 12, 16. 4. So this is extra for now. Now I'm going to cut the 4.5-inch strip. We only need one of those. This line got a little bit off. Just enough that it's bothering me, so I'm going to trim this again. And I'm going to cut a 4.5-inch strip. Okay, just like it was hard to see the black on the black, it's hard to see the white on the white. I might need to turn my cutting mat over to the black side. That's my 4.5-inch strip, and from that I'm going to cut 8 4.5-inch squares, which will also go into the week 4 bag. We're getting a lot of goodies for week 4. So that's 2. 4. 6. 8. Okay. Week 4. Done, done, done. Yay. Okay, we're getting there. Woohoo! Now we need 12 2-inch width of fabric strips. And these are, all these pieces are going to be for week 3. Okay. So 12 2-inch strips. Okay. smooth that fabric out, straighten it out a little bit. Start from this side. It's just slightly, I'm going to push all this on the floor. Excuse me, guys. I'll pick it all up, I promise. It's just slightly off on that edge. Thought it was still straight, but it's not, so I'm going to just trim the littlest bit off just to make it straight. Push all that on the floor for now. Pick it all up later. Just because it's kind of in the way. So there's one. Two. Three. Four. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, perfect. 12 of those. And I am going to go ahead and cut the rest of the strips. So the 2.75 inch strips. While I'm in a strip cutting groove here. So we need 8 of those. 8 of the 2 3/4 inch strips. I'm going to create another straight edge because I don't like the way that looks. Since the 2 3/4 ones are a little bit tricky themselves, I want to start with it nice and clean. Okay. So there's one of those. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we need 8. And 8. Okay. Woo! Got all strips done. Okay, so this is extra. Alright, let's go back to the 2-inch strips and we'll cut those apart the way they want us to. So let's see here. We need 48 2 by 6.5 inch rectangles and 44 2 by 3.5 inch rectangles. So now's a good time to get out your diagram because it shows you to use 1, 2, 3, 4 of the strips for the 2 by 3.5 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the strips for the 2 by 6.5. So let's start with the 3.5. I'm going to put this ruler aside. I actually don't think I need this big one for anything else, so I'm going to actually set it down. Use the small ruler for the rest. Yay, that means we're in the home stretch. Home stretch. Yay. Sorry, I get excited about little things. Okay, so I'm just going to stack up 2 because because there's 4 and I can't cut through 4. Probably could, but I want to risk it. Because the more you stack, the harder it is to get through them. So I'm just going to stack up 2 and then do the last 2 together. So they're not wanting to lay nice and lay down together. There we go. Okay, get my other ruler. Now we need, again, we need, of the 2 by 3.5, we need 44. Okay. So I'm going to cut the salvage off. And then find the 3.5. Eight. 12. 16. 20. open these ones up and iron them. And that's 22. And we need 44 of these. So we're going to do the same thing with 2 more strips. So you're going to use every bit of these strips. Okay. So 4. Eight. 12. 16. 20. 'Press. I know you can't see me, my iron's right off the camera. And 21. And 22. So 22 and 22 are 44. So that takes care of those. And that's going to go in the week 3 bag. Week 3. Week 3 are the lucky winner. And then we're going to cut 48 of these strips in, or we're going to cut 48 6.5-inch pieces. Okay. I got a little crunched up. I'm going to iron him. And I'm going to stack these 3 because we need so many more. Well, not so many more, but there's less from each strip, so. Okay. So these, this is a 6.5-inch ruler, and these are going to be 6.5. So, cut that. Ooh. So, does not want to cut. You cannot get sewn into the quilt. I'm sorry. Okay. So, there's 6. There's 12. And there's 18. 12, 18, 'So that is 36. I'm going to iron this one. It's a little squirrely. There we go. That's better. And these we need 48. So 36. That's 40. $44. And 48. Okay, so those all are going to go into the 3 bag. Okay. That one's done. We're almost done. Woohoo. Okay. Now we need to take these lovely 2 3/4 inch long strips and cut them into 36 2 3/4 inch squares, 36 2 3/4 inch by 5 inch rectangles for week 2, both of those cuts, and then 4 2 inch by 3.5 inch rectangles for week 3. Okay. So we need 3 of the strips for the squares. Which is off. Okay. Wasn't sure if they all came off. Okay, so these are going to be, again, 2, I don't like that. There's not a dark line. Okay, 2 3/4 inch squares. And again, we need 36 of these. So that should be 6. 2, 4, 6, yes. 6. 12, 18, 24, 30, and 36. Those go in the week 2 bag. And then we need from 1, 2, 3, 4 strips, we need 36 5-inch rectangles. So I'm going to do 2 strips at a time. Double check this. 5-inch, 36. Okay. So 4. 8. 12. 16. 20. 24. 28. 32. And then we need 36. So 4 more. 34. 36. And those are also going in the week 2 bag. Then we need to cut 2 3.5-inch, or 4 2-inch by 3.5-inch rectangles for week 3. So I've got a few pieces that were left, yes. I thought they might work. So I had a few pieces left from some of the strips. So I'm going to cut this 2 inches wide, and then 3.5. So there's 2 of my 2-inch by 3.5-inch rectangles, and we need 4. So 2 inches and 3.5. Okay, there are our 4 2.5 by 3.5-inch rectangles, and these are for week 3. So let's double check. 36, 36, and 4. Oh my goodness, we made it. We're done. Woohoo! Okay, I'm gonna pull all these bags out and show you guys. Look how much fabric we cut. Hang on just a minute and I'll change the camera. Thanks so much for hanging in with me. I know it was a long video. I hope it helped you cut your pieces. And this is going to be a lot of fun. Lots and lots of pieces this time around. But once they're cut, they're cut. And now next week we get to sew. Yay! So I hope you come back and sew the first week with me. I'm super excited for this because cutting these fabrics up, every color that I cut, I got more and more excited about this. So I'm really looking forward to this, and the most fun thing for this for me is that my littlest son's birthday he's the baby, is the day after St. Patrick's Day. So I'm going to make this for him. So I'm super excited to get started. So thank you so much for cutting with me today, and I will see you next week for block 1. Bye-bye. Have a good night.